reason it's in here, and I could probably take up like an hour of television time and not even get past a couple of cars. But immediately on my left is Serve 4B, and that's what is called a proof of concept vehicle for the 1997 Corvette. That car is a 1993 Corvette that they took the body off the chassis, put it on a C5 chassis, did all the dimensioning of this car for the C5 Corvette, even though it's a 1993 Corvette. And this car was presented to the board of General Motors for proof of concept of what the 1997, the next generation Corvette, should look like. And next to it, this really, really pretty car is an Alpha car. And that's a hand-built car. After this car was approved in its general packaging, they built 16 Alpha cars. They're all hand-built cars. There's pieces of wood that they carved to make that car, hand-built fiberglass fenders, and that's the first step of any vehicle production is an Alpha car. And as they test the Alpha car and find out things that are wrong with it, dimensioning changes and what have you, they're building the permanent tooling for the real car. Well, after the Alpha cars go so far into development, they make a Beta car. The next car down is another hand-built car, and it's predominantly the first parts off of the tooling of what would have been or what is now the 1997 Corvette. And after the Beta car is built, they go into pilot cars. Pilot cars are still hand-assembled, not on the assembly line. They actually did 300 hand-built pilot cars, and once the pilot cars are approved, then they start building them on the assembly line, and they create what's called a captive fleet. And that captive fleet is used within General Motors for public relations, media, and additional testing. But the car's already finished and approved, and once the pilot, from the pilot to the captive fleet are released, that's when they go into production. So of all the years, and this is Corvette's 60th anniversary, this is the only place in the world you'll find a proof of concept vehicle, an Alpha vehicle, and a Beta vehicle of any of the generations of Corvette. So I could take you around the museum and explain stories like that on every car that's in here. And there's a reason every car is in here, that there's a spatial story behind them. And a number of years ago, I had about 50 cars in my collection, and most of them were low-mileage original cars. Like this car has maybe 3,000 miles on it. Directly in front of me is the last C4. It's got, I think, 17 miles on it. So I had cars with no miles to low mileage on them. And what happened is we'd bring guests through our museum. They'd say, oh, I've seen a car like that. I've seen a car like that. And I'm going, gee, my museum is open to the public all the time, and I'm hearing people say they've seen cars just like mine. So I started transitioning the collection into one-off, very, very unique Corvettes. And there's some, even like the Alpha car, to me it's a beautiful car, but there's probably people that look at it and say, what is something like that doing in a museum? But to me, that's the reason of a museum. You capture the history of something. And